Hello, everybody. Welcome to another session together. Today's lesson is going to be focusing on learning vocabulary in one of the books being used. Today's lesson can be used with MegaGoal 6, Level 6, Unit 4, They Said, We Said. This lesson can be found on pages 54 and 55. As we progress together, we're going to make more sample lessons for each book, each level, each grade. We probably won't be able to make all of them right now, but this is going to be happening and reoccurring throughout the year. So this is going to be a sample lesson and to show you how the principles that we are working on work with any book. So the lesson uses the following color code. You will see what happens before we start learning, do it alone and check, and test yourself. But what is really important is that this video or narration, PowerPoint, is for the teacher, because the teacher needs to continuously develop himself and herself along the way. We can use a different PowerPoint, which I can make available for you as we go along. So this becomes like the teacher's guide, and the other one becomes the lesson plan that the teacher can use in the classroom. Now, when people say lesson plan, they always conjure images of a sheet of paper with an outline of what they're going to do, what they're going to say, and what they're going to do. This new approach is that the lesson plan and what the students will be doing is the same and the same one. So as we project this on the screen and work with the teacher, with the students, this is also the lesson plan. We can elaborate further in the future. So without further ado, let's start. So as we said, this lesson is going to be focusing on vocabulary and the conceptualization of those words, but most importantly, not just the word, but how to use the words to make details. And as you know, we spoke before, what is really important is not the word by itself, but how it fits into a detail and how the detail fits into the sentence. So this lesson is only going to focus on learning the words and making details out of them. Now, the first task is the most important task in any lesson, especially in a classroom situation. There are four principles. There are more, but there are four essential principles that always need to be met. Principle number one: when the students come into the classroom, or when an English teacher comes into the classroom, they are still thinking in their native language. We, as teachers, need to help them transition from their native language to English. And this is called, in education research, code switching. Now, depending on the proficiency of the level of a person, their code switching can be anything from 20 minutes to fully transition from native to target language, or the better they are, the less the time it takes for them to transition. But don't forget, in a classroom situation, the student probably had 2 hours of Arabic with an Arabic teacher. So transitioning time when the English teacher walks in takes much longer. So it is our job to create a task that helps the student code switch much faster. Principle number two: the students and anybody in any workshop or learning session needs to become aware and get oriented about what they're going to be learning. Now, usually teachers will say, today we're going to be learning about this, but that is not an experience. Unfortunately, sometimes half the class might not be hearing that orientation because they're still thinking in their native language or distracted by something else. So we need to create the task in such a way that it shows the objective of the lesson rather than tells the objective of the lesson. And we do that by creating an experience through a task. So when you do the task and you experience it, it is more effective than being told. This is called sense of direction. The students and any learner needs to increase their attention in order to learn and create a holding ability. Now, let me explain holding ability. If I am going to help you learn a word, and just write the word and say, we're going to explain it, etc. That is called at the moment, or this is called the moment of learning. However, if you notice that in movies, whenever they want to show you a relationship, let's say between two things, they always show you at the beginning of the first part of the movie one of the things and then the main character, because at some point these two things, the person and the thing, or the person and the person, are going to meet and they're going to have an effect on each other. So this is called heightened attention, by priming the brain to get it ready to learn the word. So the first task you're going to see has no meaning value. What it has is the ability to prime the brain so that it can learn the vocabulary. And of course, we know something, that not all the students are of the same level in English. So let's look at what happens. The first task should ensure that every person in the classroom can participate, not only those who have a higher command of English. Because look what happens. If some of the students are left out at the beginning, they will not be able to catch up in the subsequent task. I mean, this goes without saying. If you start the lesson and I cannot do anything with that, what you're doing, well, then the second one, which is based on the first one, is over. So think of a lesson as a chain of links. The first one links to the second one. The second one links to the third one. So the first task should always be designed in a way that none of the students can be left out. So not only the people who have a better command of English can do it, but those who have lesser command of English to be do it. So we call this equal challenge. I'm going to show it to you now. So we've got, so let me just repeat the next slide that you're going to see about the first task. The purpose is to prime the student's brain and get it ready to learn. But all the other principles are also integrated. So let's just focus on this one for the time being. Look at the instructions. You're telling the students, so the students can see this on the slide now. And the instructions are: listen to each word and its number. Then, need to get this out of the way. Sorry about that. Okay, we will get rid of it. Write the number next to the correct word below. So the teacher or the recording will say one of these words and will say a number. All the student has to do is to write the number next to the word that they heard in the correct sequence. Well, I will demonstrate. So what is important when the teacher goes in, or when the recording is playing, it's going to say a word, and the word is going to be followed by a number. The student has to listen to the word, search for the word, even though they don't know the meaning, and write the number next to it. Now, this is a level that most people can do. Now, if they don't know a single letter in English, that is a different story. Okay, let's try. Virtues, 1. The student will write 1 next to virtues. I forgot to say that you might give them a hand out here, all right? Circulate, 2. So, sorry, it's criticism, 2. These are not in the correct order. I am sorry about that. I'll repeat these. So what we do is we say a word and we say a number. The way I designed this was the more difficult way, that you would say random numbers. Like, for example, you said virtues, 1, they wrote 1. Then you said criticism, 7, they write 7. So this is more difficult than moving in a sequential number. You can adopt any way you want. So I'm going to adopt the easy way right now and show you how it works. So virtues, 1. Circulate, 2. The student writes 2. Ridicule, 3. So what is the student doing? Every time they hear a word, they have to look for the word. Even though they don't understand the meaning, this is priming the brain. Praise, 4. Brilliant, 5. Rumor, 6. Scandal, 8. Gossip, 9. So what is happening? The student hears the word, looks for the word, and writes the number that he heard or she heard after the word. This primes the brain. But if we want to make it in a more difficult fashion, what we can do is just say random numbers. Like I told you, we can say 7. Sorry, criticism, 7. So now you cannot remember the numbers in sequence. You have to remember the numbers and write them in a haphazard manner. So that would be a higher level. Therefore, we can do this at this level, which is lower, or we can do this at a higher level where we write the numbers next to the words like criticism, 7. What's the next one? Ridicule, 3. Then the next one we would say pray. So it can be in any order so that the students will not be able to predict and the listening attention has to go up. But if the students are on a lower level, we go 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now we prime the brain to hear these words. Now look at this next set of instructions. Find each of the words you numbered below in the text. Circle and write the number of the word next to it. Again, this is more priming in the sense that what we need to do is to raise the attention on the word, because if your attention is not on the word, then how do you remember it? So let's look at it. We have the word virtues. Now the numbers here do not have to match the numbers in the previous slide. You can put any order. Virtues 1. Let's look for virtues. Where is virtues? Notice that we are creating the scan system here, right? You are looking for the word virtues. In order to find it, you have to scan all the words, which helps. And what we will do, let's write the word virtues is 1. Circle, it says circle, and write the number. The next one is circulate 2. Notice we did it. Ridicule, we have to look. And so even if you don't know English, what we are doing, we're increasing your attention span by not just scanning without a purpose. You're scanning to find a word. So the students, this is something that everybody can do. What has happened now? We have primed the brain with these words. Now, let's suppose that your students are at a higher level and their English is better. We will eliminate the first slide and then start directly with this one. But I recommend the first one because then they will be hearing the pronunciation of the word, not just looking at it in print. Let's go to the next one. So there are some more because I'm doing this on the book, and you can tell them to do it directly on their book, but you put the slide up so that they can follow the sequence. So they would actually be finding these words and circling them on the pages of their book. And this is the last page. So these are actually the 2 pages on the book, but the students are looking for the words criticism, scandal, gossip, and circling them. Let's go to the next task. The next 4 tasks are for higher ability students. So this is the differentiation. You can skip the previous slides and go higher with this one. Or if your students are of different abilities, you can give the next 4 to the groups that are higher in a level and the first one to the groups that are lower in level. Let's have a look at how this will work. Search slides 2 and 3 to find the parts that are similar to the sentences in boxes A, B, and C. copy the part that means the same. Let me just move this out of the way. That means the same on the line. So let's have a look. Search, the slides are before, but this is a higher level test. I hate it when someone talks to me. Which word would that be? So this, they can look in the book or they can look in the slides. So if we're doing this, let's say with remote learning, we already have the slides. If we're doing it in a classroom, they already have these in their books. So one more time, we're going to say, search slides 2 and 3 to find the parts that are similar to the sentences in box A. So similar means you don't find the exact words. You find a sentence that means the same thing. And I help by saying which slide you're looking at, but we can make it more difficult by removing the number. So I hate it when someone talks about me. The student goes to slide 1 or the book itself and finds a sentence that is similar in meaning to I hate it when someone talks about me, and they find this one. People dislike gossip when the gossip was about them. So instead of taking something and then explaining it, what we're doing here, we're taking something that is easier and finding the more difficult for it. All right. And notice that it contains the vocabulary words as well. What I want to know is no concern of mine. Find a sentence that means similar to what I want to know is no concern of mine. The things most people want to know about are usually none of their business. Letter C. When people talk to you about others, be sure that they will talk to others about you. What sentence on those 2 pages? So notice that the students now are still scanning, but they are not scanning for a word. They are scanning for a whole sentence or a part of a sentence that means the same as this. So we are increasing the reading comprehension ability of the students. Now, remember, this is a higher level than the one I did before, okay? Whoever gossips to you will gossip about you. Now, we can continue with the same things. I don't want to take up too much of the time, but I will give you the answers and you can pause this video every time you want to see it. So when you tell people how great their friends are, they will surely tell you something about them that is not good. Which sentence in the text means something very similar? To find out people's faults, praise them to their friends. If you don't tell anyone the good things you do, then no one will tell others about them. And again, no one gossips about other people's secret virtues. They only gossip about their bad habits, etc. And it's difficult to stop a bad story when about someone from spreading to others. Trying to quash a rumor was like trying to unring a bell. So again, as I said, this one is of a higher level than the one before. We can do both. We can do this one and we can do the other one. Or we can split the class and then have 2 sets. All right. And let's not waste any more time on this one. What we are doing, we are giving easier English for the students to find more difficult parts of in the text. Now, we will move on. The next 4 slides are for lower ability students. So use the next 4 slides if your students need more support. So you can see the differentiation here. Now, what is the nice thing about this? The teacher does not have to look at a piece of paper with or the teacher's guide. The lesson is actually on the screen. Let's look at it. All right. Look at the instructions. Find the parts of the sentences in the speech balloons that mean the same as the sentences in the box below. So notice what I've done here that's easier. Instead of scanning and writing, what they're going to do is a kind of finding the same thing, but they are easier because they're right here. So I hate it when someone talks about me. Look at all of these and find the part that says the same thing, that I hate it when someone talks about me. What have we got? I hate it when someone talks about me. People dislike gossip when the gossip was about them. A. So now you notice it's easier because they don't have to go back and forth. The sentences are here. The speech balloons that they're going to be reading are here. Again, what I want to know is no concern of mine. Notice the things most people want to know about are usually none of their business. We find it, we underline it, we write the letter. So notice we are kind of forcing the student to scan the speech balloons and to read them. And we are increasing the print reading power in this case. All right. So, and we will just put these here. It's the same thing here. And these are the answers. You can pause anytime you want. And again, as we said, we made it easier by saying, these are the 3 sentences, find them here, instead of here are 12 sentences, find them on the 2 pages. That's how we lower the level, all right? Okay, so we're done with this part. The students looked at these 3 and they found the sentences that mean the same thing. Remember, we made the sentences easier. And what I will be doing, I will be helping you produce lessons like this for all the books, the first part, the first unit, so that you can help them. Now, instructions. Write each of these words under the correct heading. So we went back to the words again, and now notice now, we have moved the kids to the cognitive. Remember, we said the objective was to conceptualize the words and then use them in details. Well, in order to conceptualize the words, you don't just take the meaning. You need to build a concept around the word. So which one is a naming word, which is a noun? Which one is an action word, which is a verb? And which one is a describing word, which is an adjective? So this is going to be easier to do now because we found those words in context. And remember, this is in the secondary level. We assume that the students are not beginners. If you have some students who are absolutely 0 in English, we need to do something else, all right? So this is called mainstream. We assume that the students have some English background. They can see the words, they can read them, they cannot understand everything, but we're going to use what they already know to raise their cognitive levels. So let's have a look, and you ask the students to do this alone. Please don't ask the students to do this one by one. Ask them to do it alone first, compare notes if you can, and then you give a feedback. So this is now going to be the feedback part. After you gave the students, let's say 2-3 minutes to do this on their own, you say, all right, all of these are naming words or nouns. Which ones are action words? You go like, notice that praise can be both noun and action. Ridicule can be both. So point these out to them. Which one describe? Brilliant, all right? So now what we've got actions, we've got adjective, we've got nouns. We can put these together to start to create details. Now we go back to the book. Is it easier to do this now? So write the letter of the definition of each word. So look at the definition. It came after we built the experiences. We have built the experiences. We haven't used the same exact wording here. So again, the students will read the definitions and the words and say which word has which meaning. Now, look at the instructions again. Write one of these words in each space to make an accurate and positive detail. So notice that all of these are details. They're not sentences. And I cannot overemphasize that if you don't get the detail right, you will always get the sentence wrong. So generally, in the myth of teaching languages, we always say, here's the word, use it in a sentence. However, the word has to be formed in a detail in order to put it in a sentence. So let's have a look. Such good, and remember the word? Positive. So we want to say positive things, not negative things. Such good. Can we say such good scandal or such good gossip? No, these are negative. Can we say such good rumor? That's negative, all right? So which of these words can fit here and still be positive? How about the good news? Again, we need something to say the good news, and it should be positive. Should it be scandalous? Sorry, that doesn't even work. Praise the good news? Maybe. Circulate the good news? Maybe. So the answers are more than one. And remember, we're helping the students construct language, not give one black and white answer all the time. So give the students some time to be able to do this. And this is where you as a teacher comes in. You can use only words that the student already knows in order to build the detail. After they finish and you ask them maybe to share with each other in pairs, then you give the feedback. Let's check. So how do we think in order to get it right? This should be part of the lesson. You remember we spoke in the previous sessions about visible thinking. So you can do immediately like traditional, put in the words and we'll give you the answers, but I really prefer that we help the students do visible thinking. So let's have an example of visible thinking. Think like this. Good is a describing word. So it probably needs to be followed by a noun, right? Now do the same for the rest. So for each one of these, do the same thing. Example, the good news. Think like this. The good news is a noun phrase, is a naming phrase. Is naming an adjective. Sorry, what did I say here? The good news is a naming phrase adjective. So it probably needs to be preceded by an action verb. Can stand. So this is what you get the students to do. But of course, this is now on a higher level. So they probably learned these strategies before, which we will put at the beginning of every book and every unit and every lesson from a very early age. Not what is the answer, but how do I think in order to get the answer. So we do this again and again like this. Can stand. Can stand is an action verb. So it probably needs to be followed by a naming word. If we do this for each one, so notice here, you are not looking for the correct answer in the blank. You are looking for how they think in order to get the answer. Because if we get how do you think in order to get the answer, you will never ever get it wrong again. Again, these are separate lessons, but I'm just showing you a model that we can use in all the kingdom with the same book, with the same page. And this is called procedural learning rather than learning the page of the book. Now, we go to the answers. Such good virtues. Is that positive enough? Yes. Okay. Circulate the good news. Can we say praise the good news? Yes. So we will accept more than one answer if the student's thinking. So we know now that the student is thinking correctly and said, I needed a verb before the good news, not, oh, let's go eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Can't stand ridicule, can't stand gossip, can't stand rumors, okay? It's not good to, oh, sorry, see, I put two answers here. Can't stand ridicule, can't stand criticism, can't stand gossip. It's not good to ridicule, all right? It's not good to circulate gossip. Here, we need a verb, praise everyone who helps others. Brilliant idea. Don't spread. Now, Since we want it to be positive, the don't already makes it that if you use a negative word in the blank, it becomes positive. Don't spread rumor. Don't spread gossip. Expose the sin. So notice what we have done here. We have used the words more than once, rather than the traditional exercise that the students used to just cross out the word, and that means I have fewer words to choose from to put into the blanks. We would like to thank everybody for participating in this lesson. I would like to hear your comments and your suggestions as we move along. Not to mention, please feel free to ask me any questions. Thank you very much, and hope to see you again soon next week.